Hello and welcome to Coffee with Dr. Carla. I'm Dr. Carla and today I have Tyler with me and we're going to hopefully get to some mental health related issues and begin to break down the stigma that surrounds them. So I think people all know the term self-care, and I'm pretty sure that it's probably one of those things that are overused. But recently I heard the idea of self-care versus self-soothing. And so maybe you want to speak to what each of them are and how you see them in your work?
Yeah, definitely. Yeah, I feel like self-care is tossed around a lot nowadays. I feel like a very popular term, buzzword almost.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, I feel like kind of understand self-care, but I think with the self-soothing related stuff, I feel like we see that a lot more because I think it's a lot easier. So I think of self-soothing is a little bit more things of distraction or kind of quick fixes. They're more like things like playing on your phone. I feel like easy to go on social media for hours on end, or TikTok. I feel like, any type of social media, or like binge watching Netflix. I feel like those things are can be really nice. I think they definitely provide some type of support. But I feel like those are just more like feel good things, like little short term fixes, versus self-care, which I think helps you feel good and has a little bit longer lasting effect. So that's things like exercise, kind of like healthy nutrition, taking care of your body, meditation.
Things that should become routine, should be a habit perhaps in your life.
Yeah, and I think those get a lot left out because it's a lot more, you have to kind of put energy into those versus like phone or TV. It's pretty easy. You can kind of shut off your mind, which can be a good thing for certain times, but I think a lot of people still leave out some of that other good self-care stuff.
I know one of the big things that I often hear people say around self-care is, I can't afford that.
Yeah.
And I'm like, but I know that maybe people's mind go immediately to massages, some sort of spa day, mani-pedis, a fancy dinner, buying themselves clothes, or whatever. But there are so many different things you could do for self-care that cost $0. And for whatever reason, people don't think of those. And I don't know if it just got overly commercialized or what the situation is, but I feel like there's a lot of misunderstanding that self-care has to cost money.
Yeah, and I think that there's some good marketing and stuff with that. I feel like I think when I think of self-care, I think the first thing that pops in my mind of like people taking a bubble bath with like a glass of wine. I feel like that's one of the first things, or they say like the spa day or like getting your nails and stuff done, which can be very expensive. But I feel like those things, like you said.
But a bubble bath doesn't cost you but whatever the bubbles are,
Yeah, exactly.
And so, I mean, that's a pretty good free one,
Yeah, exactly. But I feel like so many things, like you said, like just going outside and like going for a walk or stretching or getting like that stuff feels really good for us. I think great way to start your day. I know, like for me, I really like to walk my dog first thing in the morning, and I feel like it starts me off on such a good mood. Kind of process my day, kind of plan, and it helps me feel good for like the rest of the day. It really has like a trickle down effect, and it's, like I said, it's free. And my dog costs stuff, but otherwise, just go outside and enjoy as long as the weather's permitting.
Right, and that's a perfect form of self-care, something that you create a habit around. Yeah. It's funny. My daughter, one of her self-care things is that anytime that she's coming from outside, going into the house, she hugs the pine tree that's in front of her house and thanks it. People are like, that's crazy. But, for her, it's a way of getting in touch with nature. And it's something that she does, and it makes her feel good. And it doesn't cost you any money to hug a tree. And so... it could be anything. I have a friend who will walk outside barefoot, just so that she can feel her feet, in the grass or in the dirt. She stops somewhere close to November, but we'll pick it back up someplace in March, and that's already too cold for me, but that's beside the point. But the idea is that she's getting out and she's literally getting in touch with nature. As part of it.
And I think that's a big thing is, I think for self-care versus self-soothing is like connection to different things that can be friends and family with like hanging out. Like, I feel like you're connecting socially there, or connecting with like exercise with your body or mind. I feel like that is very different than, you know, when you're like doing those other things of, you know, watching TV or playing on your phone. I feel like you're like connected. You might be a show you enjoy, or, you know, other things of that nature. But I feel like the connection is so much deeper with that other self-care stuff. And like I said, like with nature, like that's such a powerful thing where you're connecting in so many different ways.
Well, soothing usually comes after there's been something abrasive. I mean, at least that's how I think of it, right? So something, you had a bad day at work, or you just had an argument with somebody, or you just realized that you can't find your, I don't know, name it, keys, ID, whatever, right? And you're just like, okay, I've got to check out here for a minute because I'm going to lose my mind. So that's the soothing part of it, right? And so that's where the Netflix or the phone or the TikTok scrolling or whatever. But I would suspect that there's a point where self-soothing turns into numbing. Like more than just for a little bit, but turns into like bad numbing. Yeah,
I agree with that. And our emotions don't lie. They'll stay there. They'll come back out eventually. And I think that's the hard part. I think right now we are very good at trying to push it under the rug and sweep it under there. But eventually it comes back if you just keep pushing it off for too long and not letting those emotions or things that built up out in a little bit more meaningful and impactful manner.
I know a lot of my clients will automatically go to the idea that numbing only has to do with substances, overeating or drinking or whatever. And so, well, that's the only way you can numb. I'm like, you can numb by working too much. You can, numb by overdoing anything. TikTok, Netflix, Disney, work. Any of those things can be used as numbing agents, The whole idea is avoiding. And so if you go too far off into that, and I don't know that there's a magic number of minutes or whatever.
No, it could be different for everyone.
I just think that if, soothing becomes more numbing when you are out and out missing things, avoiding things. It's not a matter of just taking some time out to compose yourself. What do you think might be some tips to get people started on, perhaps creating this menu or selection of self-care and self-soothing strategies?
I feel like one of the best things to do, obviously, look at yourself and the things you connect to. And I feel like almost make a list. And you can kind of like start separating the tools and finding out like, hey, maybe I need this thing for these few things or this here. Almost make it like a coping skills toolbox for yourself. And trying to like find a good blend. I think sometimes we gravitate towards one or two things only. And I think it's good to kind of step out your comfort zone, even like to break up the routine. Like I feel like even with things, using something like exercise, you can go to the gym, that's great all the time. But sometimes it's nice to break that up and like, hey, I'm going to go outside for this workout today. We need that. I feel like it just helps us keep that connection, not burning out or kind of falling into that unique numbing stage. I feel like that's a great way to start is like, hey, make a list of all these things you connect with, even things you might want to try and give it a go, see how it goes.
Right,
and, if you like it, great. If not, you kind of know it's not
your
for
kids
you.
all got scooters. Maybe you need to hop on the scooter and give it a try yourself,
exactly.
Or, they all got roller skates. Maybe you need to get yourself a pair of roller skates or roller skate with them, right?
Yep.
So, you're right. Exercise doesn't have to be this gym-only thing.
But
that's true with everything. If we incorporate and make it a regular part of our day, then hopefully we won't need as many self-soothing and maybe we won't go to the numbing aspect as often. So, well, thank you very much. So remember, you can change your thoughts, discover your potential, and transform your life by focusing on your overall well-being. So until next time, continue working on being the best you possible. Bye.
Bye.